Hi, this is George Ball. I'm an actor and a singer. I'm on to discuss my very, very first CD at the ripe old age of 80. And I'm talking with Rabbi Sol Solomon on Dave's Gone By on UNC Radio.
Oh, my friends, shalom uvracha, everybody. This is Rabbi Sol Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And today on the radio, I am having a ball. Ha! Pun intended there. Yes, it is an entendre, but not a dirty one. We'll get into those later. Because we have with us an actor and a singer, someone who was doing television back in 1963. You would have seen him on General Hospital. And since then, oh my God, he's been on Charlie's Angels, Kojak, Heart to Heart, Lou Grant, Santa Barbara, Judging Amy, spanning decades. He's also done tons of regional theater, like opera companies as well. He has a new compact disc out. Yes, people are making those. It's called, isn't it? It's astonishing. Think of Me, a collection of love songs for the grown up at heart. It's put out by LML Music. And let me tell you about this. Michael Feinstein said of this new CD that George Ball's voice is soulful, beautiful, and moves me deeply. His song interpretations are impeccable, and I love his new CD. And I think we're going to love talking to George Ball as well. Shalom, Mr. Ball.
Shalom.
First question, most important question, is there any Jewishness somewhere in your genetic line?
No, only that I'm in show business. That's the only...
Yeah, that would do it.
So I am Jewish by association.
Well, but that also makes you gay by association.
Oh, that could be too.
Oh my, don't tell your wife of 42 years.
I don't want to discuss that with her. But...
Yeah, certainly. Now, I guess I didn't have to mention this in the intro, but George Ball is married to another songwriter and an actress. Her name is Amanda McBroom. You know her because she wrote The Rose, and she's on TV also. So, well, now that we have that all out of the way, why did you wait until you were 80 years old to make a compact disc?
That's an interesting question. I've asked it of myself, and other people have asked it, and what it boils down to is I did it when I was ready to do it. For some years, Amanda and her music director and the girl who produced the album, Michelle Browerman, have been on me to do a CD, and I always...
Wait, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
And I do my theater.
Wait, sorry, forgive me. I need to interrupt you for something very important. I will let you continue that thought.
Sure.
But I'm getting a sense that Michelle Browerman is Jewish.
Your senses are working beautifully.
Yes! Boy, dance of joy. Okay, now I'm sorry I interrupted.
That's all right.
Now please continue. So your wife Amanda McBroom and the lovely Jewish Michelle Browerman said to you,
when are you going to do a CD? When are you going to do a CD? And so I finally acquiesced. And what I thought I was going to do is I thought I was going to go into the studio and just sing songs from all the musicals that I've done, you know, Sweeney Todd and Camelot and Little Night Music and Jacques Brel's Alive and Well. And
I have never heard of any of these, but continue.
Well, I got into the studio on the first day, and we did about 5 songs, and I brought them home, and I went, I don't like this. This is too performery. This sounds like I'm singing on stage. And I've got to back off of this and find another way to do it. So we threw out that idea, and we started singing songs that were much, much more intimate. And I slowly but surely taught myself how to sing in studio as opposed to on stage. And that's how most of those songs came to be. For instance, Some Enchanted Evening, I said, you know, all you hear is, Some Enchanted Evening. I said, that song is so beautiful. Let's find a way to do it so that people hear the words again. And Michelle came up with that arrangement, which is stunning. And so it was like that. I mean, it was discovery. It was 6 months of discovery.
Oh, Oh my goodness, that's quite a thing. You sang, and also it's songs that are quieter, intimate love songs for the grown-up, as you say. And do any songs have a particular special meaning for you and Amanda?
Well, there are several in there. Of course, When Love Grows Up was written by Amanda, words and music. And the third, I believe it's the third song on the album, is a song called If I Were You, which is from a musical that Amanda and Michelle wrote called, based on the movie Dangerous Beauty. And I love that song. It was written for me, but I didn't end up singing it in the show. However, I wanted to record it, so I did. So there were those two, and then there's Fanette from Jacques Brel, and, I've done probably 2,000 performances of Jacques Brel as Alive and Well.
When did you go out? This I'm curious about, because both you and Amanda, do you mind my calling her Amanda?
Oh, please.
Instead of saying Ms. McBroom or Mrs. McBroom or Mrs. Ball, whatever. But, did you meet doing Jacques Brel is Alive and Well and living in Paris?
Yeah, actually, I was the lead man in the show in San Francisco. And Amanda showed up backstage one night, and she loved the show, and we talked, and I thought she was really quite beautiful. And I said, if you want to see it again, give me a call. And I gave her my number, and she called, and she came back and saw it several times. And then one afternoon, a couple of weeks later, the producer said to me, George, I'm auditioning. We're losing Betty Rhodes, our lead girl, and I'm auditioning girls this afternoon. Would you come and sit on the auditions, and because I'd like to have your input? And the first person to walk out on stage was Amanda with her guitar, and just knocked me out. And I leaned over to him and I said, this girl is going to be a very, very, very prominent. She's got fabulous quality, and she's got an aura around her. And he hired her.
You had not been really dating her before. She had just been coming to the show.
Well, I'd taken her out for a drink.
Oh, boy. There's some ethical dilemmas there for all the other auditioners. They didn't have a shot.
But I had no preconceptions. I had no idea. I didn't even know she could sing. And so when she came out, it kind of blew my mind, and she was wonderful.
Now, how long did you go out before you made it legal?
Oh, we hung together and lived together for about 5 years before we got married. We got married in 1974 in
now wait a minute.
Los Angeles.
Forgive me, but everything that I've been reading says you guys have been married for 42 years. I'm not very good with math, but it is 2014. Wouldn't you be married 40 years? 41?
Well, no, let's see. Maybe it was 1972. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's terrible. Don't tell her No, it was... Well, you know what? It might have been, let's see, 1970, 74, 84, 94, 2004, 2014. That would be 40.
That would be the big 40.
And then, I don't know why it says 42 years. It really is.
40 years.
It
only seems like 42.
This December, but we lived together for 5 years. We practiced for...
In sin! Oh, you lived in... You actors, you. Oh, my goodness. Heathen people that you are.
Cutting edge.
So let me ask, though, in those early years especially, when you're both trying to be singers and actors and songwriters, and you are married... Was it difficult because probably you were always flying on planes or running to the East Coast to the West Coast, not at the same times? Was it good to have that time apart and distance, or was it tough?
It was tough. When I dated her in San Francisco, but I was dating other women too. And,
yeah!
I left San Francisco and they brought me back to the show in New York. And I got back to New York, and then they said, listen, we're going to send a company to Boston. You want to go to Boston? And I said, I would love to go to Boston. So I went there. And when I got there, I realized I really, really missed her, and I wanted to see her. And so I called her and said, please come to Boston. And she agreed, and she came.
And the Ramming boys settled down. Yeah.
That's when we started living together, yeah.
And now, are you able, I guess, in the past few years, you've been able to be a bit more settled out in, I assume, Los Angeles?
Yeah, well, we're 70 miles north of, up in a beautiful little valley called Ojai.
Ojai.
70 miles north of Los Angeles, yeah.
Over 40 years. Have there been ups and downs? Mostly ups. Has been amazing. Have you ever... what?
You know, we made an agreement with each other that we would be supportive of each other in the sense of what the other person had going on in their life. At one point, Amanda went to the Far East and to South America. She was singing backup for David Soul.
David Soul, was he Hutch or Starsky?
Yeah, he was Hutch.
He was Hutch, yeah.
Yeah, and at another time, after we had gotten to Los Angeles, we came to L.A. to do Brel, and we did it in a couple of places, and then it closed, and she immediately started to work in television, and I wasn't getting any work, and I said, I'm sorry, I have to go back to New York. I'm losing my identity, and I'm feeling very, very insecure. And I went back to New York, and I immediately got on a soap opera, and then I immediately got a new musical at the Goodspeed Opera House.
Oh.
And I did that for 6 or 8 months, and she came east a couple of times and hung out with me when I was at the Goodspeed Opera House. And then when that was over, we had a little VW camper bus, and we got in it, and we drove back to California, and we settled in again, you know. But there were some rough moments.
But I think by now, after 40 years, it should be pretty smooth sailing, God willing.
It is. It's very good, smooth sailing, and the deal with it is with the both of us, we support the other person in what that other person wants to do, and we also are similarly, let's say, gifted, and we get hired to work together. I mean, we've done Brel together, we did Sweeney Todd together, we did a little night music together, we did Amanda's musical Heartbeats together. So we don't work together all the time, but we work together enough that it's very satisfying, and we love working together. It's really fun.
We are talking with George Ball, and I can't believe I haven't made any jokes about your name yet. Well, except
yeah, go ahead.
No. Well, first,
my whole life.
That's what I wanted to ask. Did you take a lot of shice from children?
I did. Yeah, I did. Toughened me up.
I imagine so. I mean, did you have to beat the kids up, or what did you do?
No. Just after a while, I just became threatening, you know, and it was enough.
But it never occurred to you, I won't say occurred to you, you never had the desire to change your name? Because actors do anyway.
No, you know what? I did consider it, and then I thought, wait a minute, there are famous people named Ball.
There are? Oh, no, of course.
Oh,
duh.
Most particularly.
Of course, yes, of course.
And so, I mean, I might have flirted with the idea for a minute, but...
But you did not drop the ball, as it were.
Oh, very good.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Mary. And do you come from a long line of balls? Does your name go back? Can you trace it?
Actually, I do. Ball is it's a British name.
Okay.
Actually, I go back to my grandfather on my mother's side. His name was Lockley. Lockley.
You mean his surname or his first name?
His last name.
Last name, okay.
His name was, John Lockley. And he was a descendant of Robin Hood.
Oh, my God. Oh.
Robin of Locksley.
Locksley with a X.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh.
Yeah, so on that side of the family, it goes back to Robin Hood.
Oh, my.
So, yeah, an aunt went and traced the family tree, and she's the one who found that out, so... On that side, yeah. Ball is just, I think, is also a nice British name. So on my grandmother's side, on my mother's side, there was my grandfather, Lockley, my grandmother, Marshall. She was like Orange Irish. That would be Protestant Irish. And on my father's side, my grandmother was German.
Oh.
And my grandfather, his name was Ball, of course, and he was English.
So he was sort of where it started. He was the baseball, as it were.
He was the baseball.
All right. I'm sorry about that. But let me ask you, since we're talking about your heritage and little Georgie Ball that you were, when did you realize that you could sing, and when did other people realize you could sing?
When I was...
You were...
I was 4 or 5 years old. I could turn on the radio, hear a song, turn off the radio, and sing the song back to you, words and music.
Whoa.
It was just there. It's just something that was there. And of course, my mother just took it for granted, but when I got into school, the very first day of grade school, the music teacher went, oh my God. She had us all sing a scale. And when I couldn't wait to sing my scale, because I knew I was going to kill it, you know. And she recognized it right away. She called my mother and said, we've got to get this boy in there's a professional boys choir in downtown Pittsburgh at Trinity Cathedral, which was an Episcopal cathedral.
Amazingly enough, I have never attended, but there you go.
Yeah, I got you.
But back then...
the only way I would have attended was to be in the choir. And so I sang in that boys choir.
But this was when you were, again, like 5 years old. You were a soprano.
6 or 7.
One presumes.
I was a boy soprano, yeah.
So that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have a voice when you're 12, if you know what I'm saying.
No, I do. I absolutely do. And the thing about it was, and that was another kind of magical thing, was I never went through any squeaky phase. I just went from being a boy soprano to sort of being a boy alto, and then I was a baritone, and then I was a bass baritone, and that was it. And that's where it settled. Never went through that thing, you know.
Oh no. There's another ball joke in there somewhere, but I can't think of it. Everyone at home, take a moment. Think of hair, think of something, think of them dropping. Okay, you got it.
All my friends in high school called me Balls.
Well, yeah, well. Well, once your voice dropped into a baritone, what else could they possibly call you?
That's exactly right.
So, in high school and college, you continued musically? What are your degrees in? Because this is not in any of the website stuff or the press materials.
No degrees. I finished high school. I won what they call the Aryan Foundation Award.
Wait a minute. Wait, the what?
Yeah. No, not Aryan in that sense. It was Aryan. It was a...
That's how they spell it. It was a Nazi award?
No, it was like a scholarship award from a school, a college.
I'm sure they've changed that name at some point.
Yeah, God, that was so long ago.
Hope so.
I mean, you know,
God.
But then
it's like the swastika prize, yeah.
And then I continued singing, and then I was acting in high school. I was in the class musical and class play. And
what was a class play?
Well, the very first one was, oh my gosh, how could I possibly forget that? Wedding Spells, it was called.
What was it, a special review?
And I was also I played the father in Hansel and Gretel.
Ooh. No, and actually that also reminds me of a question that I ask a lot of the performers that I talk to. Do you remember the first theatrical show that you ever saw, professionally, community, whatever?
That I ever saw? Wow.
The one that made an impression.
Shows at the Pittsburgh Playhouse when I was a young guy, and they took us to see. They crammed a lot of Shakespeare down our throats when we were in school. They'd take us to Shakespeare things and other things. I think the first show that I saw live that blew me away and it scared me to death and made me want to be an actor was La Mancha with Richard Kiley.
Scared you to death? Well, it's a sad little piece.
It scared me because he was so good.
Oh.
And I thought all I had to do was be like John Rader, Gordon McRae, and sing and just say the words. And then I realized, it's more than that. Here's Richard Kiley, who is a brilliant actor and singer. And I went, if I want to do this, I have to learn how to do that. And that's what I did. That's what I set out to do.
Did you try and make the rounds of Broadway? Because you've done tons of regional and stock company and all that. But were there any tryouts or things that you thought, maybe...
Well, The number one thing that happened for me, my break, so to speak, was that I was well known in Pittsburgh, in the theater community and in the radio, and I did some commercials. But a guy who worked at KDKA, which at the time was a Dumont television station, he moved to New York, and he went to work with Merv Griffin, who owned his own show. And he called me from New York. His name was John Simon, by the way.
The record producer guy, or certainly not the critic?
He wasn't. Oh. He was just a guy named John Simon who worked for Merv Griffin. And he called me and said, George, you want to come into New York and audition? I've got you an audition for the Griffin show. And I said, oh, I would love to. And at one point before that, a year or so before that, I went to New York with a bunch of young guys and girls, and we did a review at the Bonsoir. We were signed by an agent, but then I went back to Pittsburgh and never thought about it. When I got to New York, I called the agent, and I said, listen, I'm auditioning for Griffin. Will you come and hear me? And he said, no, I can't, but come to my office and sing me a song. And I went to his office, I sang him a song, and he said, you're right for a show that just opened in Greenwich Village. It's a huge hit. Would you want to audition for it? And I said, what is it? And he said, it's called Jacques Brel is Alive and Well and Living in Paris. And I said, sure. And so I went and did the Griffin audition, which was a complete disaster.
Oh, wait, now, why was it a disaster?
Because I let my accompanist talk me into singing first. And I sang, and then I waited around because my friend hadn't shown up. And then around the singer number 5, he and Griffin and Arthur Treacher all walked into the room, and he said, so you're next, right? You're seventh. And I said, I already sang. And he said, George, I set this whole thing up for us to be here to hear you. And that was it. I didn't get to sing for Griffin.
Why didn't you just go back? You couldn't go back on again?
No, my accompanist was gone. Everything, and he was completely disgusted with me. I walked out into the afternoon, and I was probably the angriest I've ever been at myself. And because I was so angry, when I got to the Village Gate to audition for the Brel show that evening, if you would have gotten in my way, you'd have been in big trouble. And the stage manager said, well, where's your accompanist? I said, he'll be here. Don't worry about it. He said, well, you better get... I said, just never mind. Just get out of my face. And my accompanist showed up. I got up on stage, and I sang, you know, that song, Hear My Voice Where You Are, Take It to Train, Steal a Car. I sang that, only I sang it with huge anger. And I didn't know, but that served me very well for the Brel show, because the Brel stuff is so dramatic and angry and emotional. They called me down off the stage and said, do you want to be in the show? You want to do the show? I said, I don't know. I've never seen it. They said, well, stay and see it and tell us afterward what you think. And I stayed and saw it, and I was hyperventilating. I was so nervous. But I'd never seen or heard music like that in my life.
And you have done, as you said, Jacques Brel is Alive about 2,000 times? Or?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Amanda and I did it in Holland, 2 Americans and 2 Dutch people, because he's huge in Holland. We did 63 cities in Holland.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Hi, this is George Ball. I'm an actor and a singer, and I'm talking with Rabbi Sol Solomon on Dave's Gone By on UNC Radio.
The longevity of your career and the fact that you've also done quite a bit of television, as I mentioned, mostly one-shots, guest appearances, that sort of thing, or a particular character on an episode. But I would love to hear your memories, your thoughts of people that you have worked with or for on TV.
One of the goodies was Dave Letterman.
Ooh.
I was in New York. I told you I went back because I was just feeling it. Lost my identity. And my ex-agent, I checked in with my ex-agent from when I was in New York, and she said, oh, yeah, if anything comes up, I'll call you. And she called me, and she said, you have a suit with you? And I said, yeah. And she said, get into your suit and go over to Letterman. They're looking for someone to do a comedy bit with him. And I got over there, and they gave me this copy to read. Who the guy was the president of CBS. I was doing a comedy bit with Letterman, and I was pretending I was the president of CBS. And it went so well that they started bringing me back. And so the second time they brought me back, I did about 7 or 8 of them. I went to the stage manager and I said, listen, by the way, just in case you're interested, I'm really a very good singer also. He said, really? And I said, yeah. And so the next time they brought me back, they had me take over the band.
Wow.
I had a skit with Letterman, and I'd shined him on and said, yeah, never mind. And I'd say, and then I talked to the band leader, and we did Johnny Cash's Ring of Fire one time, and then each time I would take over the band, I did it about 4 times.
Now, let me ask you about the process of this, because I find it fascinating and amazing. So, let's say that the Letterman people wanted to bring you back for one of those times.
Yeah.
They call you, your agent calls you.
Yeah.
Then, the process of going from that moment when you get the phone call to what is being taped on the air. Take us through it.
I was in New York for the first 2, and then I came back home to California. The very first one that I did was I was getting progressively drunk in a hot tub with Letterman, right? So,
yeah.
And
you and all his interns, yes.
And when I took over the band, it was hysterical. The audience got it. So I came back home. The phone would ring. It would be the agent in New York and said, listen, they want you back. They would maybe call me on a Tuesday, and they'd say, they want you back for the Friday night show. They would fly me in. They would put me up in a really fantastic Japanese hotel. I would go over in the afternoon for the rehearsal. We'd read through our stuff. Actually, he never looked at me, and I never looked at him. The cameras made it look like we were talking to each other, but in reality, we were reading this off of...
So you didn't have to memorize. You weren't supposed to memorize your lines.
No memorizing, no.
Okay.
Just reading. We just read the lines off the cue cards.
And how much rehearsal would you get? Like 10, 15?
One read-through.
Wow.
Yeah.
And would it be a table read, or would you at least physically...
No, it would be a live read. It would be a read like it was going to be on the show that night. When I would enter, when I would leave, well, how we would handle it. And we never went over it more than once.
Wow.
We just
and so you would,
that was it.
You would do that at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and then hang around until 5:30 for the taping?
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's a pretty good gig.
And I'd hang out in the green room and meet all the people who were going to be on the show that night, which was always a lot of fun. But I never really got any chummy with Letterman. I mean, he was...
Few people do, yeah.
Yeah, no, he was. I'm grateful that they gave me the work, but he was not an approachable person.
Fair enough. Fair.
Yeah.
So of the people, as I said earlier, you were on shows like everything from Lou Grant to Kojak, Heart to Heart. So what are some anecdotes, especially if people are dead, you can tell not so nice stories, but also very happy to hear good stories about celebrity people?
Well, in most cases, on those television shows that I did,
yeah.
For instance, the guy who did Barnaby Jones.
Oh, Buddy Ebsen.
Buddy Ebsen. Buddy Ebsen did not stay around to do your scenes with you. Mm. You know what the POV is? Camera points at you, and that's a POV on you, and then the camera points at him. That's a POV on him, and then there's a master shot. But you didn't get master shots with Buddy Ebsen because he didn't stay around for the secondary characters.
Wow, okay.
So the stage manager would read the lines with them. So I didn't really... Actually, that's not true.
Ooh.
They did shoot the master between us, and then he left, and then all the other POV shots.
Yeah, that makes sense, because you need for cutaways, and okay, good.
Yeah, exactly. I had a really good time working with the Charlie's Angels girls.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah, and Ladd, what's her name?
Cheryl Ladd, yes.
Cheryl Ladd was very charming and stunningly beautiful girl. My friend was the producer of that show. I did a musical of his about Vincent van Gogh, and of course...
What was it called? Lend Me Your Ear?
Oh,
no, I'm sorry about that. Yep.
It was just called Vincent.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Vincent the musical. It started, actually, the opening scene was when he committed himself after he had cut his ear off.
Oh. There's a great
It was
opener.
his way of paying me back for working cheaply on his musical, because there was not much money. So he gave me a couple of...
A guest shot on Charlie's Angels, yeah.
Yeah.
Also nice to hear nice things. Again,
He was wonderful. He was a terrific guy. Unfortunately, he's gone now, but I loved him.
And what about some other celebrity run-ins, as I said, positive and or negative?
No, not too many. I did do just an amazing stage version of Camelot with Robert Goulet. And that was a trip, because at the time he was heavily imbibing, and you never knew what was going to be said or how it was going to be said, so that was ice skating. That was really...
So was he Jekyll and Hyde? Like one day he would be the most charming, lovable guy, and the next he was off the charts?
Yeah. Actually, he was okay with me, because he used to do this thing where he'd walk past you and like in the hall, and he'd punch you. I mean, really hard on the arm.
Hell yeah.
Really hard. And he did that to me maybe twice, and like the third time I said, Robert, if you hit me one more time like that, there's going to be trouble. I'm going to kick your ass. And he said, let's have lunch.
Ha! Good thing you didn't say, I'm going to tell Equity.
No.
That would have been a very different response. Like, he just, wow. Well, so good. So with you, it was okay, but you witnessed him being ugly with other people.
Well, not so much ugly as out of control, let's say. I would think the person who, it starred he and his wife at the time, Carol Lawrence. And she was the one who was in the most trouble, because she had to pick up his lines that he would forget on stage. And
all that
sort of thing. And a couple of times she almost ended up in the orchestra pit because he got a little too rambunctious.
You know, it's funny, I interviewed Carol Lawrence a couple of months ago. She didn't mention any of this for some reason.
Really? She didn't? I'm amazed.
Yeah, oh boy.
She'd kill me if she heard me talking like that.
Oh, well, as he's gone, and his behavior merits discussion. If he had been a wonderful angel, we'd be talking about that. But he wasn't, so the truth should be out there.
I ended up liking him, because I realized what a strain he was under. At one point he said to me, we were invited over to their house in Beverly Hills, and the cast, and she was a fabulous cook, great Italian cook. And he was showing me, he and I were walking through the house, and he was showing me some of the artwork and so on and so forth. And he said, be very, very careful about getting yourself involved to the point where you have to take care of a lot of other people. I said, what do you mean? He said, I'm responsible for the lives of 14 other people. All those people on my staff, all the people that I have to pay weekly, they depend on me. And as a result, I have to do things I don't want to do. For instance, Las Vegas. He hated Las Vegas.
And he used to walk the street in high heels. It was the things he was doing on the Vegas Strip. It was ugly. It was no, I'm kidding.
Well, I don't know, but I got it. I understood.
Yeah, actually, did you see that documentary about Joan Rivers that came out a year or two ago?
No, but I did see her recently on a talk show, and I was scared me to death.
Well, yeah. No, I don't mean what she looks like, but one of the whole points of the documentary is that she's terrified anytime she opens up her calendar book and there's nothing in there. If she sees white space, she goes into a panic. Because she always wants to be booked and working. And she's saying one of the reasons is, well, I've got my makeup person, and I've got this family that I'm supporting, and it's this, and it's the same exact thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't excuse her walking out of an interview a couple of weeks ago.
No, it certainly doesn't, and it doesn't excuse her just really very bad taste in my estimation, but that's me.
Oh, no, her sense of humor is fine by me.
Yeah.
The more tasteless. I mean, you've been talking to me for half an hour. You should know that.
Oh, come on. You couldn't touch her with a 10-foot pole.
I wouldn't touch her with a 10-foot pole. Just kidding. I don't know what that means. Anywho, a couple more questions for the delightful, the very talented George Ball, soap opera fans.
Let me ask you a question, Rob.
Yes, please, by all means.
Have you heard the album? Have you heard?
I have indeed, yes. What about it?
I just wondered.
Yes, of course. Yes, I've listened to it a couple of times. I like some of the songs. I'm a little surprised you had the Bruce Springsteen song on there, because people will assume, oh, okay, he does standards and he'll do a couple of show tunes and romantic love ballads, and somewhere in there you throw in Highway Patrolman. Which, I guess it's a love song about brother to brother, but still.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a song about brotherly love. Hi, this is George Ball. I'm an actor and a singer. I'm on to discuss my very, very first CD at the ripe old age of 80. And I'm talking with Rabbi Sol Solomon on Dave's Gone By.
How can human beings, well, I'm almost human, can they get this new CD? It's called Think of Me.
Yeah.
Do you have a website? LML Music has a website. How do they get it?
Well, the easiest way to get it is to go directly to Amazon.
Oh, okay.
And type in George Ball, Think of Me, and the album cover will pop right up. And you can order it, and it'll be at your house in 3 days.
3 days? Ooh,
yeah.
Ooh! You only have to wait 72 hours to hear more of this man's voice. And one of the things I do want to say about this CD is so many Broadway people who do cabaret or cabaret singers, they put out a CD, it's them with a piano, boom, boom, and it's perfectly nice. But they all kind of sound the same. Yours is sometimes piano-based, sometimes guitar-based, but you have more instruments going on. There's more coloration there than in your average cabaret CD. And I think that's kind of nice.
It's very emotional what is happening in a lot of these songs. And the emotion, I got to some really good places emotionally because of what was being played behind me. And that's the brilliance of Michelle, the little Jewish girl, Brauerman.
Yes.
And the German, Stefan Oberhoff,
the
two people who produced the album.
There's the Aryans again.
Yeah,
can't get away from it.
You can't keep them down.
Hey, are there any singers who particularly influenced you and your style over the years?
Oh, yeah, for sure, Sinatra.
All right. What is it about Sinatra? Explain it. Don't just say Sinatra. Why?
Hey, I'll tell you what it is. It's what I attempted to do on that CD, and that is I wanted whoever listened to it to feel as though I were singing that song to them. And the other thing that it has, and this is coming back to me, feedback from Sheldon Harnick wrote me a lovely letter and said, I felt as though you were speaking directly to me, that you had the same experiences in life that I had, and you wanted to tell me about it. And that's what I went for, and I think that Sinatra's biggest secret, if you will, was his vulnerability. When you listen to him sing those love ballads, like, for instance, the one that I have on there, Today I may not have anything at all my tomorrows.
Okay.
When you listen to him sing that, he breaks your heart. He has an album called Songs for Only the Lonely, broken-hearted love songs. He can make you cry. That's why I love what he does so much. His vulnerability shows through, and he's probably the most immaculate phraser who's ever sung pop music. I mean, he's just brilliant. I like Tony Bennett too. He had a lot of influence on me.
Anyone that would surprise us, though, those are the too obvious that any singer would say. Who was there another person that would be? Oh, really?
Well, let's see. Oh, really? Well, no. You know, the ones that I listened to when I was a kid were Sinatra, Tony Bennett, Nat King Cole, great singer Jack Jones.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Incredible singer, and my hero, and the person that I really modeled myself after on stage was Kiley, Richard Kiley. I just thought he was...
There's that Man of La Mancha thing again, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And did the rock and roll era sort of pass you by? Because you do some country-ish songs, and you know Springsteen, but...
Well, no, actually it didn't pass me by at all. It's just not... It's not what I... It's not not my whole card, so to speak. You know?
Okay. I mean, I'm not even just talking about as a singer or plucking songs from it or styles, but even for listening. Just you never went there, really.
Oh, yes. Oh, my God, yes. Yeah. Amanda and I are complete rock and roll junkies. Fans, complete Rolling Stones fans, complete. You name it. The Eagles, the greatest band that's ever been formed.
Well, you're from the West Coast.
And Springsteen ain't too shabby either.
Not too, all right. Going back to the East Coast, represent. Oh, by the way, I should also mention, it's a little early to say this, but on October 8th, you and your lovely wife, Amanda McBroom, are going to be performing together at 54 Below.
Yeah, and then again on the 14th, along with our fabulous musical director, producer, Michelle Browerman.
The Jewess!
Yeah.
So you'll all three be there on October 8th and the 14th. I know the 8th is a Wednesday. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's a week later or I have to count it. I'm back to the math again. All right. 8th,
6 days later, I think.
6 days later. All right. Well, certainly go see them. Certainly pick up Think of Me. We're wrapping up this delightful conversation with George Ball. Last question. 80 years old. How are you? Health-wise, do you slowing down? Do you have to take things easier? Do you feel the same as you did when you were 65? What?
It's a bit scary. I keep waiting for the shoe to drop because I'm good. Well, let's see. 2005, I was attacked. My knees were attacked by really dreadfully serious arthritis, and I thought, I have a choice here because I really could not walk without crying. I have a choice here. Either I'm going to sit for the rest of my life or I'm going to do something about it. And I have a friend here who's a wonderful surgeon, and I talked to him and I said, Fritz, you got to give me new knees. And he said, okay. And I said, but I need to have you do them both at the same time. So I'm not going to be going through it twice. And he said, well, let me see if I can find a hospital that will let me do that. And he did, and he gave me new knees, and he gave me my life back.
Did it take 3 months for you to recover from that?
To get completely strong again, that muscle in the front of your leg above your knee, that's the one that takes the longest. Strangely enough, walking downhill is the hardest thing to do because your knees want to collapse because that muscle is not strong.
There goes my lunch.
About 8 months. But,
8 months?
Yeah. To get it really strong. Oh no, I was walking 2 hours after I came out of surgery.
What?
Yeah.
Well, you were on mucho drugs at that point. 3 days later was probably horrible.
It definitely was. I would say 3 weeks afterward, I was walking with a cane, and then by 2 months, actually, in 2 months, I was on stage again. Yeah, I did the Neil Simon's play Fools, the theater where Amanda and I work all the time, where we're company members.
Oh, which theater is that, by the way?
It's called the Rubicon.
Wait, didn't you win? You were nominated for something there, was it All My Sons?
I was nominated for a straight play for Arthur Miller's All My Sons, and I was nominated as Best Actor, Best Lead Actor by the Ovation Awards, which is our version of the Tonys.
Yeah, no, Mazel Tov, I forgot to mention.
The play won the Ovation, and the leading lady and I, and one of the guys who played my son, were all nominated. I did La Mancha there, I did Brel there, and we did Amanda's musical there.
Are you going to do anything there in the months ahead?
I am. I'm going to do a concert of the material from the album in probably late October. When we get back from New York. And then I'm scheduled to do a couple of things there next season, but I can't. I'm sworn not to talk about them until...
No problem. No. Spring Awakening. No, I'm kidding. No. It has been like springtime awakening in me to be talking to the delightful George Ball. Remember to get his album. You can get it on Amazon. It's called Think of Me. LML Music is the label. Also, make your plans to get to...
Actually, they're the distributor. It's on Amanda's label, Gecko.
Gecko Records. Oh,
And
okay.
LML is the distributor.
Ah, sorry. So it's Gecko Records. Go to Amazon. Is it on iTunes too?
Yeah, yeah, it is. But buy it on Amazon, so you get the cover, and you get the information, and you get the song list, and you get the pictures, and you get.
Oh, by the back cover. What is that?
It's beautiful. The artwork is just fantastic.
Is the back cover a drawing of you from a certain era?
Yeah, the back cover was painted by my best friend when I was 27 years old, and his son is the person singing backup on the Springsteen tune and on The Moon is Still Over Her Shoulder and on Hopeless Romantic, Billy Vera song.
Wonderful. So you're keeping it sort of all in the family, literally, in a manner of speaking.
My friend Bob Troe, his son is named Rob Troe. My friend Bob Troe painted that when I came home from the Army. I was 27 years old.
I didn't even know you were in the Army.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
What year? When was it? Korea?
Let's see, I came home and I got drafted in 55 and came home in 57.
Where did you spend the war? Or, the years, not the
No, I was right smack in between Korea and Vietnam. The only thing that happened when I was there, I was in Germany, in Bremerhaven, and I was mostly playing football and basketball and singing, and then working in the headquarters. But 2 years in Bremerhaven, Germany.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. See, that this whole Aryan thing is disturbing, but it's carrying through. It's a through line. But it's the only disturbing thing about you. Everything else I love. So George Ball, thank you for defending our country by playing football for 2 years. And thank you for...
Well, I got a little bit nervous because the only thing that happened was they sent a lot of guys to, I don't know if you remember this, Beirut.
I've heard of Beirut.
Beirut blew up when I was in the Army, and they sent a lot of guys from my company to Beirut.
Whoa. Well, fortunately for all of us, that you were safely through those years and come back and you've shared your talents on television, you've shared your talents in music, and continue to do so with us, hopefully for many, many years to come. George Ball, all I can do is thank you for being with us in the neighborhood.
Rabbi, thank you. I had a wonderful time.
You had a ball!
Had a ball. Oh, God. Well, that's a good closer.
Thank you. And shalom to you.